guys, today is going to be a super important module, so I definitely hope that you guys watch all of this. This is all about injury prevention. Absolutely key knowledge here that I'm going to spit fire at you guys. So let's dive right into this. Injury prevention and what to do, how to prevent injury, and what to do when injuries actually happen, right? It's important stuff here. So injury prevention. Obviously, we know that exercise can be quite dangerous if not done properly. So that's why I'm first going to stress we need to be getting, comfortable with your form before going heavier inside the gym. I'm going to say try to eliminate the ego when going in there. I know, we're going to get really confident and we're male, so we're obviously ego dominant, but let's make sure that we can, just put that ego aside and think about form before we start increasing our weight, guys. Okay, so how to prevent injury. An effective warm-up. We got to correct your posture, guys. Fixing imbalances and tightnesses. Safely moving weight, right? What I kind of just talked about. Correct breathing. Post-exercise recovery. Those are the muscle recovery techniques. And rice and rail. Which is, what the hell is rice and rail? God. So first thing, the effective warm-up. Kind of already mentioned this in the warm-up module. Whole point of the warm-up, right, is to raise your core temperature, muscle temp, increase your blood flow, enhance cardiovascular, all of the above here, right? Want to make sure that we're mobilizing our muscles, taking our muscles through a full range of motion before we're doing our leg or upper body days, right? The main takeaway here, warming up your bodies is the difference between running a car and in the winter. Just like I had mentioned before, guys, you know that if you don't warm your car is eventually going to break down, just like your bodies will if you do not do an effective warm up. All right, moving on. Correcting posture. What the hell does correcting posture have to do with preventing injury? Well, guys, it's pretty much everything, okay? So this kinetic chain module is, you can see that this is our joints. So our bodies work kind of like a clock or gears in a car, where if one joint is out of whack, then it's going to basically create a chain reaction or a snowball effect all the way down the kinetic chain, and all those joints are going to be out of whack as well. And yes, that only does take one joint. So anytime we have bad posture, usually it's because we have one of these hips that are out of placement. We're not in alignment, and we need to be in alignment so that way we can prevent injury. When we're not in alignment, it simply means that there may be an overactive or underactive muscle pulling a joint out of place, making it out of alignment, guys. So we're going to be learning more about the kinetic chain, but the kinetic chain is very, very important, guys. This is what I like to utilize in your warm-up as well. As you guys notice, when you're foam rolling, you're going to start at your calf, and you're going to go up to your hip, right? You're working up the kinetic chain. Very important stuff here, guys. This is a game changer when it comes to fitness in general. Changing your posture, you're going to get stronger. You're going to be able to have an ego because you're going to be able to back that up because you have a dope posture. When's the last time you heard, my shoulders are in alignment? Fixing imbalances and tightnesses. This goes along with the kinetic chain. If you have one joint out of alignment, it's probably because there's an overactive or underactive muscle, which is going to pull that joint in a direction, because muscles pull our bones. Anytime you pull that bone out of place, in a joint, a joint simply is just when two bones come into contact, right? And that's where your ligaments and tendons are. That's a different situation here, but we need to be fixing our imbalances and tightnesses. If we do this through correcting your posture, then you're going to be on a good route to preventing injury down the road, increasing your strength like crazy inside the gym. So this is really good stuff here. What to do when we notice this, we want to make sure that we look above and below the joint. This is really important, guys. So let's say that you find that your knee is out of placement. We want to make sure that we're looking above the knee and below the knee. So in the kinetic chain, that means that it's going to be your hip and your ankle. That means we would want to be doing some mobility and some stability type stuff at your ankle, mobility and some stability type stuff at your hip. Okay, so that's kind of generally how you go about fixing imbalances and tightnesses, is you're going to look above and below the joint. In some cases, you may do more repetitions on one side. If you have an elevated hip towards the other, that's going to be my responsibility to figure this out in your body analysis. This is the whole point of the body analysis, is to discover where your imbalances and tightnesses are hidden and looking at your posture. Good stuff here, guys. Moving forward, safely moving weight. This kind of goes back to the ego. Make sure that you are setting your ego aside. Make sure that you feel comfortable with your form before moving up in weight. We do not need to increase your weight by tenfold each week. Only 5 pounds is what's needed. It's actually really good for muscle adaptation, so that way you can continue to not plateau. Absolutely good stuff here. Oftentimes when you get a good muscle to mind connection, finding the right squeeze, figuring out, because over time when you guys do this, you're going to figure out what feels right. And that's most likely your muscle to mind connection. You'll know what I'm talking about here when you feel a certain movement correctly. You just feel really good. You're going to get a really good pump for that. So we really want to make sure that we're emphasizing our form to enhance this muscle mind connection we have. Effective breathing. Breathing is important. Generally, when you're going down, you're going to inhale. When you're going up, you're going to exhale. This is known as the concentric and eccentric movements. Eccentric meaning down, you're going to inhale. On your concentric movement, you're going to be exhaling. So let's say a squat, for an example. As you're going down in a squat, you're going to inhale. As you're coming up in the squat, you're going to exhale. What I do want to take note of here, though, is this bracing technique. This is very important. Bracing usually is when we're going to be going heavy. It's simply when we intake, like I'll actually demonstrate right now. You're going to be doing like 4 to 5 inhale through the nose, just like so. You're going to suck in as much air as you can. And then as I hold my breath, I'm pushing my belly against my lifting belt, or just pushing my belly against my diaphragm. And this is going to be very important because it's going to protect the back. Very, very crucial stuff here. This box breathing method is simply when we're doing ab exercises. It's called the vacuum. So when we do a vacuum, I can actually stand up really quick. You might even see my abs, guys. This is a legendary moment. Vacuuming is simply when we are bringing our abs in like so. What we're going to be doing is a box breathing method. So I'm going to be inhaling, pausing, and then as I exhale, I'm breathing out through the nose, and I'm sucking my tummy in towards my diaphragm. And that's going to be a good, effective method to engage your core correctly. Arnold Schwarzenegger used to do this, and that's why he looked like a god and is probably the best looking guy of all time. So post-exercise recovery, this is the muscle techniques we've already kind of went over. The whole point of this is to rid toxins, rid lactic acid from your body. And, anytime you shorten those muscles, we want to relax those muscles through these techniques. Foam rolling, stretching, cupping, cryotherapy. That's simply, it's actually cold therapy. Oh my God, it's pretty brutal, guys, but there's actually a lot of cool benefits, like resetting your nervous system. So anytime you've had a coach that said, hey, go into an ice bath, that's a form of cryotherapy. There's actually places that you can do this. So if you're feeling really sore one day, I definitely recommend you guys try that out, because you might find that you really like it, and it does work out for you. I want to get this in morning, warm up, or post exercise, like I had said, or before bed. Rice and rail. Okay, so this is, what the hell is rice and rail? Well, rice is pretty much when you have an ankle injury. So anytime you injure your ankle, you're going to want to follow the rice method, which is pretty much just resting, icing, compressing, and elevating above your heart. If you follow this, you're going to definitely be, your ankle is going to get a little bit better at least. So that's definitely a good method to use. The rail method can be used during your warm-up, and this is a really cool method where we release the tight muscles. So using foam roller first, moving into a static stretch. So the difference between static and dynamic, right? As you guys know, static is you're holding for, let's say 20 to 30 seconds. Dynamic, you're moving through a full range of motion. So we're going to be doing this as follows: releasing, static, dynamic. Then you'll activate the muscles. So basically turning the muscles on, priming the muscles, contracting the muscles. Then you'll go through an actual movement, like squat, lunge, or an SLDL, single leg deadlift here, anything like that. And then you'll go through local motion, which is actually walking or running, and relating it back to everyday life, being functional. So these are really cool. So you can utilize these, especially the rice, like I said, for ankle, but the rail system works really well for if you have any tight IT bands or tight hips. I've used this method to try to make sure that my hips are more flexible and I gain mobility around my hip joint in the kinetic chain. Rail method works really, really great, guys, and that's actually the method I use in the warm-up, so not to worry there. If you have any questions, though, please walk through this up, because I love this. I love talking about this. This is where I set myself apart from people, is understanding this and how important this is. So definitely make sure that you guys take the time to watch this one, because this is a very valuable module.